Hi everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for joining me. As I had mentioned, one of my goals for the challenge, the 12 Days of Clean Eating Challenge, was to share with you some meal planning tips or help you, if you haven't done any meal planning before, help you kind of see where you start doing it or how you get to do it. And meal planning in general is something very important that, especially when you first start this whole lifestyle, it's very important to plan your meals out, because the last thing you want is to be in the middle of the day and have no idea what you're supposed to eat, because when that happens, the likelihood of you grabbing something that's just easy or there or accessible is higher than if you've got it all planned out, mapped out, and you know what your course of action is going to be to stay on plan. So in the long run, meal planning is going to keep you accountable, and it's going to get you towards your goal a lot faster, or ensure that you get your success, whatever that might be. Okay, so I think I've shared with you guys before kind of where I started with meal planning. Very first thing I did was I hopped onto Pinterest and I searched the 21-day fix meals or recipes, 21-day fix recipes. And there's a whole bunch out there. Lots of people like to share. And the reason why I say search for 21-day fix recipes is because people will also include the counter counts for you already. And even if you're not doing the portion fix, but you are counting your macros, this is going to be quite helpful, because you're going to know what your measurement is and how much of each food group you are eating, which is kind of nice. A nice thing of the portion fixes is a easier way of counting macros. And when I say counting macros, all I mean is counting your carbohydrates, your healthy fats, and your proteins, just to be clear. Okay, so when I went onto Pinterest and I did my search, I just, on a piece of paper, you guys have seen my paper, so I just did this on a piece of paper rather than on the computer. I wrote down, at the top, breakfast and lunches, on another page, dinners, on another page, snacks. And I went through and I found things that I knew I was going to like and things that were going to be easy, because going into this lifestyle is hard enough as it is. You don't need to make it challenging yet by trying new foods or new recipes, okay? Keep it simple. You'll be more successful and more likely to stay on track if you keep it simple. So pick out a couple recipes, not very many. You don't need a whole bunch. And we're just planning this out for 1 week. So keep that in mind. When you're starting out, go one meal at a time, one day at a time, 1 week at a time. Don't go crazy and planning out a whole month or 21 days worth. Just keep it small, keep it simple, and you'll stick to it, guaranteed. Okay, so like I said, pick out a couple breakfast, lunches. Those are usually interchangeable, quite easily interchangeable. And then a dinner, and then a couple snacks that you can kind of pick through, okay? And the other thing I did with them, again, like I said, when you're searching 21-day fix recipes and people give you the container count, you can see how I color-coded it. And I wrote in, how many, that's 1 red container, that's 2 yellow container, whatever the container count is. And I highlighted it, making it nice and easy for me to see. I'm very visual. Most of us are. So, it took me, I'm going to say, about an hour to go through this. And then, like I said, I didn't do it on the computer. I did it on another piece of paper. But I am going to demonstrate using Word for you what you can do either in Word on your computer, or again, you can do it just on a piece of paper like I did when I was starting out. So at that point, I made myself a table for the week, and I started allocating my containers and my meals. So I'm going to hop into a screen share here so you can see what I'm talking about when I say my table. So that's this here up at the top, all right? You do it whatever way you want, however you want to see it visually. For me, this is the way I like it. I like having my meal plan, my 1,200 to 1,400 calorie count at the top. I list my containers, my vegetables, the measurements you can see right beside. So the vegetables, 1 serving is 1 cup. Fruit is 1 cup, protein 3/4. You can see all the way across the top. And then the next thing I did right underneath is I say how many servings of each container I can have throughout the day. So I can have 3 green containers, 2 fruits, 4 proteins, 2 carbs, 1 nut healthy fat, 1 seed dressings, and 2 teaspoons. You can see that there as well. And I usually have these boxes color coded as well. Where is my? I had this all laid out. Okay, here we go. So my veggies are green. My fruit is pink or purple. My protein is red. My carb is yellow. My nuts and healthy fats are blue. My seeds and dressings are orange. And my teaspoon is gray. So you can see I keep it the same color coding with exception to fruit because purple's too dark. You can see I keep it the same color coding as the actual containers as well. And again, this is all because I'm very visual and it helps me to coordinate and keep myself on track. Okay, so that's kind of the table that I would have, wrote out on a piece of paper for myself. But what I want to do is I want to break it down even further for you because maybe you need to step back a bit, and rather than looking at it on a grand scale like this on 7 days, maybe you need to look at it just 1 day at a time. And I highly recommend this, especially if you're struggling with meal planning. Don't go too big because you're just going to get overwhelmed and then you're going to quit. Don't. Just look at it, again, 1 meal at a time, then 1 day at a time, then 1 week at a time. So we're going to go very basic Monday. So let's say we were going to plan out a week's worth of food. Let's just look at 1 day. So what do we have? We have our 6 meals. And why do we have 6 meals? Well, okay, let's look at, we've got the 3 big ones, breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then for me, I usually do 2 or 3 snacks in a day. So really meal 1 to 6 is 3 big, 2 small. And again, it depends on what your servings are. I really do eat 5 to 6 meals a day. I don't really necessarily do it as a snack per se. I'm doing full out meals all day. And you'll see. So that's why I've got my meal 1 to 6 listed along the side. Now, if I was, again, totally fresh, starting out, didn't know what to do or where to start, the first thing, or what you could do, is just look at it on a grand scale, okay? Look at how many vegetables, fruit, protein. Look at your food groups, your container groups, how many you're allowed to have in a day, and try just breaking up the day or allocating those throughout the day, things that kind of make sense. So easiest one to do, of course, when you're doing this program, you drink 1 Shakeology a day. And I'm having mine right now. So Shakeology is considered a protein. It's a red. So let's allocate that. Now, for the most part, I drink my Shakeology as either breakfast or the second meal of my day. So let's just put that in there, and I'm just going to put it in red. Again, I like to keep things easy visual for me. So there's one protein allocated on my Monday. Well, where else am I going to have a protein? I know my lunch. So number 3, I'm going to have a protein. Protein. 1. And I know my dinner, I'm going to have a protein. Protein. 1. Okay. And when I put that 1 in there, what I mean is 1 serving. So what is 1 serving? Again, if you look up at the top there, protein is 3/4 of a cup. Okay. And again, that's a guideline. You might need to refer to your book to help you out, like a chicken breast. Obviously, you could cut it up or chop it up and put it into a little container. Or if you do the meat sauce like I do, you could put that in your container. But some things like a nice fillet of fish isn't necessarily going to cut up, or you're not going to shred it up necessarily. So what is that considered a nice fillet? Well, it's usually 1, but maybe depending on the size, it might be 2. So, you know, you might need to refer to your book for some of those special serving sizes. Okay, so back to our allocation. So let's see here. We've got, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner has a protein. So we still have 1 protein available. We'll just put that aside for now. The next thing I would do is usually my veggie, because veggie is 3. So where am I going to allocate my veggies? Well, I usually have a salad for lunch. It's a staple for me, usually. But let's just put veggie here. So, and again, I'm just going to put 1 for now. But usually for me, I like to double up on my veggie at lunch. Let's see here. Dinner, very typically have a veggie there. So there's 2 veggies gone. Again, let's just leave it at that. So 2 veggies gone, 1 still available. What about fruit? So fruit, again, I like having fruit in my Shakeology. So I would typically allocate a fruit here. 1. And, you know, maybe my afternoon snack, or maybe my meal or snack in the morning, 1 of those. I do have that optional snack in the evening, but I might leave it for now again. Carbs. So carbs, you have to be very smart with your carbs because you don't get very many. So let's see here, carb. Again, I typically like to give 1 during dinner. Carb, 1. And, you know, maybe I want 1 during lunch. Carb, 1. So carbs are done. That's it. Finito. Healthy fat. Healthy fat and dressings, that might be based on what meal you decide to have, along with your teaspoons too. And you don't have to utilize your teaspoons. They're there kind of as a extra, if you will. Let's see here. So depending on what flavor of Shakeology I'm going to have, I might have a teaspoon in there, but you don't have to. Okay, so here we have pretty solid, you know, lunch and dinner. We've got a couple snacks to play with, and let's see here. So what do we want to have? Do we want to have, we have a extra protein, we have a fruit, and we have a vegetable that we could throw in here. So, you know, if we're having, I personally like to load up a lot of protein in the morning. So I would do my extra protein here. And that's because in the morning, I'm not a morning person. I need that extra boost, kind of get me driving or get me going. So I do typically have my first meal of the day, and then I have a snack maybe 2 hours later, and then I'm going to have my lunch even a couple hours later, and look at all that protein. So it's really to get me moving and driving, and it keeps me energized. And then as the day goes on, the energy can go down, and that's okay because I'm winding down and I'm going to go to sleep. I don't necessarily need as much energy at the end of the day. So that's why I really load up on the protein in the mornings and the lunch. So my protein at this point would be done. Fruit, let's see here. Do I want to have it first thing in the morning, or do I want to have it as a later day meal? So it depends. I mean, some people would say, yeah, get it out of the way in the morning. Some people would want it in the afternoon. Really, it's going to depend on what meal or snack you're going to want to have at that time. You don't necessarily want to have a veggie at that time of the day, but I'm just going to throw this in here. If you're going to have as your snack an egg muffin is a protein, and you typically throw veggie in there. So that could be your snack. So then you're having a veggie in the morning. But for the most part, and you'll see in the 12 days of clean eating plan, I did sort of set it up that you're throwing that second or of all of your fruit, you're getting it out of the way first thing in the morning. So let's just put the fruit in here just to say we are. Get it out of the way. Okay. So fruit's done. Okay. So now we have another, let's see, vegetable, and we still have the healthy fats and the dressings. So let's get our vegetable, the last one, out of the way, and that's obviously, or at least I hope you can see, you're going to make that a snack in the afternoon. Okay. Now all that's left is your nuts and healthy fats and your seeds and your dressings. So what do I do with those? It's kind of hard to allocate. Again, at this point, you're really almost looking towards what meal or what you want to eat at that time. We could say, because again, typically, what are you going to eat? You're going to have, usually you're going to have like a hummus or a guacamole at this point. So we're going to say nuts, healthy fat with your veggie. Let's see here. You've got a seeds and a dressings. And again, it's based on the meal. I'm gonna say here, you're gonna throw it in with whatever you're going to have. But I mean, your seeds and your dressing could also be with your meal number 3 potentially. Because if you're going to have a salad, say, and you want a dressing on top, there's lots of possibilities out there. That's all I'm saying. So that's typically, or an easy way to sort of make it very simple and get yourself started. So you're going to look at the day and just allocating your containers or your food categories. Now, the next step, what you would do after this, is start picking out what meals you're going to have. Now you could, like I said, you could turn to those, if you did write down a few meals, different ideas, you could turn to those and start picking things out. Or if you're comfortable, you could, like for me, I can look at this and I can pick meal ideas out because I've done this enough. I have enough ideas out there. So let's just say you did this way, where you're starting out and you've got a couple different meal plans, and now you want to fit it into your sort of allocation. Okay, and again, go one meal at a time. So meal number 1, Shakeology and fruit. Okay, so my fruit, I'm going to say my fruit will be 1 cup of blueberries. Done. Okay, so come Monday morning, I know I'm having one scoop of Shakeology for protein, and I'm having 1 cup of frozen blueberries, raspberries, whatever berries I have in the freezer, and that's going to be my shake. Okay, meal number 2 is a protein, a fruit, and a seeds and dressings. So when I look at something like that, what do I have over here? So that's obviously not going to be scrambled eggs or egg muffins or a banana flat out. Let's see. So I don't really have a recipe on here per se that has that sort of allocation. But again, I've got kind of you could go searching for something. I'm sure if you hopped onto Pinterest, you could type in protein and fruit snack, and I'm sure there would be ideas for you. But typically at this point, again, it's in the morning, you're looking at something like a yogurt or a cottage cheese, and then a fruit and a seed or a nut. So I'm going to pick here my plain Greek yogurt, sort of a staple. But again, cottage cheese is also good. Your fruit, you could go here. So remember, again, not a whole banana, a half banana. And that's where your guide's going to help you out, because in here it's specified that half a banana equals 1 serving of fruit. So here I'm going to say half banana. And I just love the sweetness of the banana. Sweetness of the banana in the Greek yogurt. And let's see here, seeds and dressings. You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I typically don't like throwing in a nut or a seed and a dressing when I do the banana and the Greek yogurt. I'm actually going to move it up here to the next meal. So, you know, you like I'm doing, you might look at this when you start allocating foods out and think, no, this isn't really going to work for me. And, you know, just change it, switch it up. Okay, so my snack is going to be plain Greek yogurt, half banana. And I just chop it up and throw it inside my Greek yogurt, but you could eat it half, like on the side. It's up to you. Don't forget, you've got your 2 tablespoons that you could allocate. So you could put a tablespoon of honey here if you wanted. It's up to you. I don't necessarily like, I'm learning to like honey, but you know, if you're trying to stay away from too many sugars, then you might want to skip that altogether, and you don't have to. Honestly, banana and Greek yogurt is sweet enough as it is for me, but maybe you want that. Okay. On to the next meal, and this is a big one. This is lunch. And like I mentioned to you before, I typically do a salad for lunch, but you could do whatever you want, and you'll see I have a suggestion for you for leftovers. My suggestion is always whatever your dinner is on one day, the very next day for lunch, that's your lunch. So whatever dinner was becomes your leftovers. That's what you're eating for lunch on the next day. And it also makes your meal planning quite easy as well. So, but it's up to you. So here, let's just say I'm going to do very simple, easy chicken breast with some spinach. And let's see, my carb So typically, you don't want to go crouton, but what you could do is, and I really enjoy this, if you take corn tortilla chips, so 8 corn tortilla, the sort of triangles, and make sure it's not like the white corn, you want like the yellow, the hard corn. Even organic corn chips is good too. But what you're going to do is you're going to sort of take 8 of those triangles, or the round ones, the bigger round ones, and that equals 1 serving of carbohydrates. So you can take 8 of them and crush them up, or really you don't need 8. You could take even 4 and crush them up. That will be your, and it's a nice crunch, and it's kind of like a crouton. Tortilla chip. But you know, you could also, if you wanted to, you could take this and you could create a wrap. So you could put your chicken breast and your spinach into a wrap, which is your carbohydrate, and do it that way. But I like doing my salads myself. Up to you, again, how you do it. The seeds and the dressings. So you could do, I like to do sunflower seeds. You could do like I said, a dressing. So if you're going to have like a vinaigrette, like a balsamic, you could do a balsamic vinaigrette here. Or you could utilize your other teaspoon. So let's do this. We're going to say, rather than doing the vinaigrette dressing here, I'm going to say that this is going to be my sunflower seeds. And then I'm going to utilize my last teaspoon. And that last teaspoon is going to be some olive oil. And then this is a freebie, so I'm just going to put it in black. I'm just going to take some herb and garlic seasoning and mix it up with the olive oil, and that will be my dressing. But again, keep in mind, if you wanted to do balsamic vinaigrette, that would be your seeds and dressings, okay? And you would still have a tablespoon or a teaspoon available to you. So lots of options again for you. Let's move on. So the next one is going to be the veggie and the healthy fats and nuts, and this is your snack. I, again, typically like to do carrots or peppers, or carrots, peppers, any sort of raw vegetable that I have in the fridge at the time. And I might do a hummus. You guys know I like my hummus. I also like my guacamole. Guacamole and hummus is awesome. You could do just avocado, you know, avocado slices, and whatever raw vegetables that you wanted. Something. You could look up recipes too if you wanted to, and prepare something, but I just keep it simple myself. And that takes care of meal 4. Moving on, we are on dinner. So dinner, I mean, again, I say keep it simple. Don't make things too complicated. You can make complicated a couple weeks in to try something new. And generally what we say is, you know, every other day, or maybe once every 3 days, try a different recipe. Don't overload yourself with something new that you're not going to like, and then you have not a ton, but you have these leftovers that you're not going to eat, and it throws your whole meal plan out of whack. So, you know, once every 2 days, every 3 days, try something new. It's up to you. But let's do something very staple. We had the chicken breast for lunch. Maybe we want to do a meat or a beef, or you know, pork chop. Pork chop is quite easy. Let's do pork chops. Pork chops with steamed, you know, usually it's a cooked vegetable, but I mean, it's up to you. It's what you like. So I'm going to say I'm going to do steamed green beans because I love them. And my carb, sweet potato. Sweet potato. Ta-da! Voila. We have one day all scheduled out. What do you think? So, I mean, it looks complicated when you have it all out like this, but really it's not. You just, like I said, you take it one day at a time, one meal at a time, one day at a time, and then you grow from there, right? So if I were to go into day 2, you could, again, you could plan everything out where you're allocating your container counts if you wanted to. That's one way of doing it. What I like to do at this point, like I said, I would go for Tuesday. I would say same thing. First thing, allocate your Shakeology. Easy enough. So let's do a Tuesday here. So Tuesday, first thing I'm going to do is this. But maybe I'm not going to do a berries. We'll just leave that out for now. The other thing right off the bat that I'm going to do, and what I highly recommend, you're going to have leftovers. So take that dinner and make it your lunch. It's easy. It's already made. You just need to reheat it. Look at that. So you've got already 2 proteins allocated, a vegetable, and a carb. Let's see here. So now, you know, what do you want to do at this point? Now you start playing around. Now you would maybe go in and say, okay, where do I want my fruit? Well, I had my fruit in the morning on Monday. Maybe here I'm going to have my fruit later on in the day. So this is where I'm going to have my fruit. And maybe, again, like I said, I like to typically load up on my protein in the morning. So I'm going to throw my protein here. And let's see what else. So this is where I'm going to need a veggie here. And, okay. Dinner. Dinner. What am I going to do for dinner? Well, again, protein. Protein. Veggie. And just for simplicity's sake, again, we're going to say carb. Carb. So look at that. Now we start filling it in. Do you see how easy it's going to get as you just start with that one day and then you kind of build on that? Okay, so in the morning, my Shakeology, maybe this time I'm going to do banana. So I'm going to do my half banana here. And I know when I do that, I like to throw some natural peanut butter in. So go natural peanut butter. Okay. So here, when I see in the morning a protein and a veggie, that automatically to me says egg muffin. So I'm going to say egg muffin. And And I know in my egg muffin, I like to put tomato and spinach. But maybe you find another meal that you like that would be a snack in the morning that you could throw in a veggie. Like the other day, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I had my, my chicken cabbage stir fry in the morning because I wanted it. I was craving it. So that would be another option. You could throw that in in that slot if you wanted to. And because I like to have a little bit of goat cheese here, I'm going to throw goat cheese because I see I didn't allocate a healthy fat yet. So I can throw some goat cheese there. Okay. Good. Moving on. Look at that. Lunch is done. So we've got our afternoon snack. And maybe I'm just going to go simple. Go apple, orange, something, whatever fruit you might have, go for it. And then in the evening, you know what? Maybe here I want to do an old-fashioned spaghetti. So I'm going to do meat sauce with our ground beef sauce, my veggie. I might throw so like mushrooms, peppers, As to what I'm thinking here is what I like to do is I like to throw my veggie into my meat sauce, but some people might like to have a side. So maybe you would want to do a steamed vegetable again, whatever you like. And my carb, because I'm just doing this old school traditional, is going to be whole wheat pasta. There you have it. Here's day 2, done. And day 3, I would do the same thing. I would take that ground beef sauce, mushroom and pepper whole wheat pasta. I'd plug it in as my lunch, and then I'd throw my Shakeology and whatever as my breakfast, and I'd go from there. Oh, and I do see here we do have a seasoned dressing still available. So you could do some almonds. You could throw almonds in as a meal 6, or you could do some almonds or nuts with your apple. It's up to you. I think you get the point. I'm hoping you get the point. I really hope this video has helped you or gives you an idea of what to do or how you can plan things out. So like I said, you got to keep it small and then grow. Go from there. Don't overthink things. Don't overanalyze things. Just go one meal at a time, one day at a time, 1 week at a time. And then when you have your week, then you can start building a grocery list because obviously you know what you're going to need over the week. And really utilize your leftovers. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with planning day 1 and day 2 and then repeating meals again on day 3 and day 4, because we know meat, typically you don't want to keep meat for more than 4 days. So if you're going to make a lot on day 1 and day 2, you know, plan it out or plan meals out that you can use on day 1, 2, 3, 4 and get it all done so you're not wasting anything. Does that make sense? I really hope this helps. Please post any questions you might have in the comments. Anything else you want to see in terms of meal planning, please let me know. Yeah, I'm going to see what else I can do, what other tips, tricks I can share with you guys in the next couple days, okay? Awesome. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully it wasn't too long. And have a great evening. Thanks. Bye-bye.